Usually I'm starting with the question, what brings you to the conference?
Yeah, no, I mean, generally the people. It's my second one, so I'm not like a long-standing lifer that have done many of these, but the second one last year was Beijing, which felt a bit smaller, but it's really unique. A fascinating country. But this one's been great, literally catching up with people. They drive our systems, they drive our services, but it's just really nice to meet loads of people that you've met on the circuit a few times.
Yeah, so it's all about the networking and meeting the clients that you work with or new faces.
New faces, old clients, new clients, potential clients, but yeah, just people that are also who love payments.
That's definitely true. And that actually brings us to the first question about the real-time payments.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are overviewing the real-time payments as a technical upgrade. Like we have the payments, and if we implement real-time processing, it means that we are just under the hood changing some gears into the technical. But is it really influence how the systems and financial institutions are working? What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, we've done quite a bit of work on this in terms of, I suppose, the expectations of consumers. So would you believe there's now a generation alpha that's emerging? So Gen Z and obviously the baby boomers that we are.
Yeah.
So we see them driving the change. So their expectation of payments is becoming a lot more different. So faster payments used to be P2P.
Yeah.
Then it became P2M. And that's driven a real increase in quite a few markets we're operating in. And then, of course, it goes to B2B.
Yeah.
But all that drives that instantaneous, irrevocable payments, which, of course, can drive how do you manage and track the safety of those payments. Yeah. But the convenience and the frictionless nature of them has made a real change. In many ways, people don't really care what the technology is below it. We do.
Yeah.
So you need to keep modernizing, keep it compliant. But in terms of how people are now using and addressing different use cases on different rails, there's just an explosion. Yeah. And most of that has come from the expectation of, I just want something now and I want to do it fast. And I don't really care what type of payment the rail is.
Yeah, that's true. And actually there is a lot of difference in generations, like how the young people, and it always fascinates me, like how the kids who are barely talks, they super convenient with the playing with the devices, all the screens. And I think that drives a lot of how we're doing with the financial instruments.
100%.
They expecting the payments to be happening in chats. They expecting it to be convenient, real time. So that drives a lot of questions and headache or even pressure for the technical and non-technical companies.
And we've got to meet those needs as well. And of course, the systems have to be reliable and scalable. And we've seen quite a few challenges where that scalability has gone from, a good positive outcome transaction to a real exponential growth. So again, how do the systems scale and have elasticity for that?
That's definitely true. And actually, it brings us to another question, the balance between local payments and the global standards. I know, and we've been working with the different countries as a Dash devs, and we have exposure. Sometimes you're coming into the country which has a really great local infrastructure for the payment. And what do you think about the balance that you need to keep an eye on when you're dealing with those countries, with the local infrastructure, but also having a hunger for global standards?
Yeah, and I think we always forget, actually, you probably do remember that most payment systems all came from our national needs. So, how do I do my P2P transactions across instantaneous? And then, of course, you start different nationalities, migration, people coming into the country, or even tourists just want to suddenly say, how can I? So in Thailand, there's a system called Prompt Pay.
Yeah.
And it's actually very hard for a non-Thai national to get onto that system. So again, can you find a solution where maybe there's interoperability, which is a very big buzzword, but can I take my own payments from in and use the national rails? Or do I have to be a national who has a bank account? Because of course, account to account requires that providence. So expanding that accessibility, because the question's always been, how do I make that financial inclusion within the nation? How do I now do that internationally? I think is the next challenge. So I don't think many have fixed it. You've got solutions like Alipay, Wallet. They can often fix that. But you'll find that a combination of the local RCP and a card system. So again, more choice how I pay when I pay. But I don't think the international standards really becomes a factor until you start looking at cross-border payments. Another challenge of there's many bilaterals. How do you start building that standard for a cross-border payment across different payment types? RCP, card, blockchain, CBDC, and all those kind of aspects as well. So I don't think anyone's quite got there yet, but that's the thing we probably have to tackle. And at Sibos, it's been a real topic of conversation. So.
A lot of it actually have a hunger and discussions around the cross-border payments, how we make them real-time and convenient for both parties.
Yeah, 100%.
That's definitely true. And another hot topic is because a real-time system might bring the headache for the fraudster activities. It's real-time. There is less capabilities to catch and act upon those activities. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, we spoke to quite a few customers around that in terms of the, how do you pre-detect, prevent? Or actually, how do you trace and then obviously close down quickly when you start seeing anomalies? So, and the way we've been doing it so far, certainly within MasterCard, is catching those patterns of accounts, suddenly transactions that are done in an odd way, or maybe into different mule accounts. How do you close them down? And then, of course, when you do prevent it,
Yeah.
by the way, you should then give enough information back to the bank.
Yeah.
Because they should be the ones really preventing the transaction, and they make that decision. So how do you get enough data quickly to be able to keep it not slow time, but real time?
Yeah.
And then, of course, when there has been so that's kind of a happy path of stopping a payment. When it becomes an unhappy path, how do you then actually trace down and close? But also, how do you reimburse? How do people, cards have quite a good protection system. How do you bring that into real time through account to account protect and different solutions we've been seeing as well? So I think you kind of try and prevent, but then when you trace, how do you actually reimburse and close?
And collaborate.
Exactly, yeah. Well, that partnership aspect, because everyone's got to share data.
Yeah, that's
and the banks have to talk to each other, the operators have to talk to each other, and in many cases, not everyone always has. And how do you data share amongst that as well safely?